Show. How's it going this week? I'm Craig Funk. I'm your host. This is the Spirit of Vinyl. Hope you've all had a great week listening to some records and having a good time. So hopefully you picked up some stuff. I don't know. I picked up something this week. I don't know if you guys have picked this up. I want to talk about this for a second. This was a compilation album that comes from your local Walmart. I saw it on the internet and they were talking about it, and I'm like, well, shit, I'll buy it. I went to my Walmart and it was the only copy they had left. I don't know if you can read that, but there's your Round and Round, Wanted Man, Lack of Communication, Back for More, Lay It Down, You're in Love. Slip of the Lip, Way Cool Jr., I Want a Woman, and Giving Yourself Away. It's got a bunch of cool hits on it. It's a pretty good album. It's got a cool red colored vinyl. See, sort of they called it Rat and Roll Red, which is fucking stupid if you ask me. But, these are just put out by, technically this is actually put out by Rhino. It's pretty good sounding. I played it once. I'm a fan, so that's why I bought it. Like I said, it was the only one left. But there's one thing I want to show you. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on camera or not. Right there. See that fucking crease? You see that? It came that way because Walmart doesn't know how to take care of the fucking records. That's how they came out of the shelf. It was brand new, still in the wrap. I'm going to open. I'm like, it's got a fucking crease in it. Now, of course, I never would have bought it if I would have seen it that way, but it was the only copy they had. And I bought it not knowing that it looked like that already. So basically, I got a brand new record that's near mint on the inside, but now I got to call this VG maybe? Would you call it VG Plus or just VG? I don't know. It's irritating. That's sometimes the problem, with grading and things like that. So, but it's okay. It was $22. It's well worth the money. Oh, that's just kind of what I picked up this week. But what I wanted to talk to you about this week for sure, taking a record from the collection. Like I said, if you're not sure where I'm going with this, you can watch the introductory episode and kind of see what's going on there. But taking records from the collection and talking about them or whatever, and that's what I'm going to do this week. So here we go. This is the first week. First one we're going to do. This is Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow. As you can tell, it's a Japanese pressing. Looks pretty good. Back cover, Japanese. Like I said, this is a Japanese press. It's on Polydor Records. Let's open this thing up for you guys. So it's got some cool stuff on the inside. Obi strip is nice. It's pretty hefty. I mean, if you look at it real close, there's no real corner dings or anything. It's very flat and still easy to read. This one is a repress that came out in 1980. I thought I had an original 75. Originally, this album came out August 4th, 1975. I thought I had an original one, and then I was researching this on Discogs. I noticed that the Obi strip on the 75 version is white, and mine is yellow. So then I figured out, looking through it, even though I'd already done matrix numbers and all that shit, that this is actually a re-release in 1980. This album reached number 11 on the charts when it first came out back in 75. And here, let's still has the inner sleeve or the lyric sheet or whatever you want to call it. There's the English side over here. These come in all the Japanese imports I've ever seen. No folds or nothing. The Obi strip was intact. This thing was in perfect condition. And this is one of those ones I was talking about in the introductory that I'd found in the garbage. Here's the record itself. You can see it's all shiny. No scuffs. So it's got that nice Polydor, that nice original logo on there. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful copy. And like I said, I found this in the garbage, which is wild to me that By the time I found it, this record's 41 years old, and it was still, like I said, it had the outer sleeve and everything, and the inner sleeves, and everything was set up on it. So, yeah, it's amazing that it was still in the shape it was in, and that's what kind of blows my mind about collecting vinyl records. So this record here, let's see here, let's take a look at it again. It's got Man on the Silver Mountain, side one, which is a classic, right? Classic Dio song, Man on the Silver Mountain. Let's see, Self Portrait, Black Sheep of the Family, Catch the Rainbow, side two, Snake Charmer, Temple of the King, If You Don't Like Rock and Roll, 16th Century Greensleeves, and Still I'm Sad. So, and it's got some lyrics on the back for 16th Century Greensleeves. This album, Ritchie Blackmore left Deep Purple and decided to start his own thing, and he basically hired all of Elf, which was Dio's band before he was in Rainbow. Elf was actually opening for Deep Purple, and that's how he got to know Dio and the guys from the band. So basically, when Ritchie Blackmore decided to go do a solo thing, he hired all the guys from Elf except for their guitar player. I got a list here. Let's see here. Craig Gruber on bass, Gary Driscoll on drums, and Mickey Lasole on keyboards. And of course, Ritchie Blackmore on guitar, and Ronnie James Dio's lead vocals. For me, this album, the spirit of this album, I mean, it introduces us to Ronnie James Dio, even though it's called Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow. And I know you can't really see the whole thing because of the Obi, but I'm not moving it. So it does move, but I don't like to move them because it loosens them up and then they might come off. And they're worth a whole lot more when they're on there, in my opinion, anyway. Everybody wants the Obi strip. What's the point, I mean, that's the part of the point of the Japanese pressing. The other part for me, the Japanese pressing, is I do think some of them sound better. Some of those ones from the early 80s and the mid 70s, I think they sound better than the American presses that were being made. But to me, this album, because it introduces us to Dio, and it does really introduce us to Dio, because Dio had Elf beforehand, but nobody had really heard of them unless you happened to be on the tour. Few people were listening to them or whatever, but worldwide recognition for Ronnie James Dio comes because of the Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow album. I think altogether they did 3 albums before Dio left to join Black Sabbath, and then Rainbow became a lot more commercial after that, and that's what Ritchie Blackmore wanted. He wanted more commercial sound. This is a very heavy sound. As a hard rock fan, Man on the Silver Mountain, obviously. Dio played it all the way up in his live shows, basically till the day he died. But it's a great album. It's got killer riffs. It's got good bass, and Dio's vocals are insane. And it introduces a world to Ronnie James Dio and how great of a singer he was. So I really think that, to me, is the spirit of this vinyl. This did come from Japan. I know the guy who had it before me, like I said, I'd Google him after I found his collection, and he had died, and he was a military man, because I've got all these Japanese presses, and I've got stuff from West Germany and Holland and Europe, and so he must have been traveling. So that's the other thing about these records. This record's in near mint condition. This cover, I would say, is near mint. The record itself is near mint. And it's been all over the world. Bought in Japan. Who knows how much this guy traveled before he ended up in Tennessee, and then they ended up in my hands. It's funny that they were thrown away and just chucked into a dumpster, and none of them got dinged or dented. It's almost like the gods, whatever gods you happen to believe in, were just holding it softly for me to come pick it up so I could listen to it. Now, I've never owned a Rainbow album in my life until this one. And I've got other ones over there, but this was the first one. I thought I'd pull it out and give it a listen. Like I said, it went to number 30 in the US 200 and certified silver in the UK and Japan. So it did okay. I guess sales-wise, I guess you'd say it did okay. But for me, the thing is about this, like I said, I never owned a Rainbow album. We all know who Dio was, and we knew the songs Man on the Silver Mountain and some of the stuff he'd done with Rainbow. But we were more interested in his Black Sabbath stuff and, of course, his solo career. For me, as a kid in the 80s who came of age as a teenager in the mid-80s, Ronnie James Dio was the shit. He was the greatest singer. Holy Diver, Last in Line, Sacred Heart, those were all fucking great albums. But it all starts because of this album right here. This album gives us Ronnie James Dio. Honestly, what would his career have been if he hadn't have been picked to join Rainbow? If he would have stayed in Elf? Elf was cool. I have one of their albums, and it's kind of heavy, but it's more of a hippie vibe, I guess you'd say. So Would he have been as big as he was if it wasn't for Rainbow and Ritchie Blackmore taking him and saying, hey, I don't want to be in Deep Purple anymore. Let's do something different. And that's what they did here. And it kind of sounds like Deep Purple, and you get a hint of what Dio would sound like later in this. But overall, I mean, it's definitely worth getting. And if you can find a copy, a Japanese copy like this, I would buy it. I'd say one in this condition right now, probably $60, $65. You can buy them cheaper than that. Find the American version. You can buy them cheaper, but the Japanese versions, there's only like 4 or 5 for sale on Discogs right now. No, actually, I think there was 11 of them. And the cheapest one I found was $45. Very few of them have the obi and the insert like this one does, and very few of them are listed as near mint condition, which I list both of these as near mint condition. So I'd say it's $60, $70. Well worth it. If you're a fan, you already have it. If you're a fan of Dio and you don't have this early Rainbow, I would go ahead and buy it and put it in your collection and enjoy the sounds of early Rainbow and Dio, the world's introduction to Dio and Ritchie Blackmore, being able to do what Ritchie Blackmore wants to do rather than having to do with what Deep Purple wanted him to do. So overall, I think this is great. Like I said, I mean, you can look at this. This thing is in perfect shape. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. Definitely a great part of the find that I had. So hope you guys all have a great week. That's it for me for this week. Next week, I'm not sure what we'll talk about. Basically, I'm going to kind of let Discogs decide, because if it's up to me, I'm going to keep going and going through who knows. But you can go to Discogs and you can hit your collection and hit random item and it'll pop up an album. So I'm thinking maybe in the future of this show, I'll do that. And whatever Discog says, hey, this album, that's the one I'll listen to. And that's the one I'll do. Oh, plus, I never got to that before. See, this is what happens when you don't have a plan. The record itself, I showed to you. When you play it through, no pops, no skips, no static. I mean, for a 40-year-old record, you'd think this thing was brand new. I mean, it's beautiful. It sounds great. It sounds as good as the day it did. All these people who say vinyl's full of shit, vinyl pops and skips, vinyl degrades over time. It's a 43-year-old vinyl record. It still sounds like the day it was new. So I don't believe that at all. And you can't get what you get out of a vinyl record with your phone. You just can't. It's not the same. It's just not. And you can argue with me all you want. So anyway, thanks for watching another episode. If you like what you're seeing, go ahead down below, click like and subscribe. So that way you'll know when I put on a new episode. Thank you very much once again. I hope it looks a little better this week than it did last week. I kind of worked on my lighting a little bit. And I know this isn't professional of me, but this is you and me talking. I'm not trying to do a Hollywood type YouTube show. This is just me talking. This is just a podcast with video. And that's it. I'm going to say what I want or whatever. So yeah, go ahead. Buy Rainbow. Buy Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow, the first album. Go ahead and buy this Rat album. But, look at the fucking corners and make sure Walmart. We all know Walmart fucks shit up. If you've ever been in there to buying a record at Walmart, they have no space. So it can't be moved. And they're just jammed in there. They don't have proper record shelves or anything else, and that's the kind of shit that'll happen. But for $20, it was worth it. And the Rainbow album, it was well worth it because I found it for free, along with hundreds of other of them. And we'll go through those as time goes on. All right, well, that's enough rambling for me for today. Thank you very much for watching once again. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys all next week. Thank you.